Going on, everybody? It's that time of the week again. It's time for my Rock Band 4 DLC review, and this week we got a 5-pack. It was actually called Off the Charts pack, and the first song we're going to talk about is Cocoon, and Cocoon is easily the best full band song of the week. I'm going to let you guys know. The guitar is pretty easy, but there's a really fun mixture of chords and single notes with a guitar solo thrown in as well. I'll warn you guys, there's not a whole lot of guitar solos on this week's pack, but this is one of the few songs that does have them, and the guitar is probably on the easier side, but I really enjoyed it. I definitely recommend you guys buy this song on guitar. The drums are super fun. This is hands down the best drum song of the week, and it's got so much variety, and the first half of the song just completely raped me like Bill Cosby. Like, I just did not expect the difficult, tom hits that were in there and the ghost notes to be placed where they were. And even the second half of the song plays a lot different than the first half, and I really recommend you guys buy this song on drums. The difficulties, it's pretty intermediate, I'd say. It's not the hardest song, but there's still some really tricky notes on here. The bass, I would say, is really enjoyable as well. There's actually chords on the bass, which you don't see a whole lot of in Rock Band, and there's like this really quick back and forth section between two notes you'll play across the fretboard. And then there's a couple sections that do, maybe don't feel as fun on bass towards the end of the song, but overall, the bass is really well varied. There's some quick, really fast strums you'll have to do as well. Best full band song of the week. Highly recommend you guys buy this song. Let's go into our next song of the week. Next song is Dreams by the artist Beck. I'm a huge Beck fan. I'm so happy to see some more of his music in Rock Band 4. It's kind of weird. We had E-Pro in Rock Band 2 and we never heard from Beck again. Here's hoping we'll see some more of his tracks in Rock Band. And this song was a little disappointing to me. It's not the best on all instruments. The guitar was really fun. It's got a very funky kind of rhythm to it. It's got mostly chords, and I don't really like these kinds of heavy chord songs that are structured this way, but I really had a great time with this song. I definitely recommend you guys pick this up on guitar. I wish I could say the same for drums. The drums were an absolute bore fest. You literally play the same beat over and over again. The fills are the exact same you play. There are a few times in the song where you'll be playing like a little different beat, like on the rack tom and on the snare. But other than that, it's a really easy song to FC on drums. The bass fares a bit better. The bass is really over tiered. Like, it shouldn't be 4-star difficulty. This should be like a 2-star at the most. I found the guitar was actually much harder than the bass. The bass is still fun, but it's way over tiered. I'd say the song's worth getting for the bass and the guitar. Let's go into our next song of the week. Our next song is Electric Love by BØRNS, and I will tell you what, guys, this song on guitar is really interesting. It's got like a really boring part, which is just basically, you strumming along to these single notes, and then it's got like this crazy hammer-on section, or a couple of hammer-on sections, where you'll be playing like across the fretboard. It's like a much easier version of Hail to the King, and for that reason, the guitar is sort of uneven and really unbalanced, I felt. I think if you like hammer-ons, then you should pick up the song, but overall it's a pretty mediocre song on guitar. The drums are actually super fun. The interesting thing about the song is that there's no cymbal hits whatsoever except for when you're hitting overdrive. Everything is played on the snare and the toms, and the beat you play is sort of like a shuffle pattern, I would say, similar to like Uprising by Muse, but then they've got these fun little fills that you play all around the toms on the kit. It's so much fun. It's probably the second best drum song of the week. I'd recommend you guys pick up the drums. The bass is decent. I found that the sustain parts of the bass kind of ruined the song for me and slowed it down too much, but there's also some really fun parts too. I'd say the bass is pretty mediocre. Let's go on to our next song of the week. Our next band is Cold War Kids with the song First. I'm really happy to see Cold War Kids in the game, but I will say they really could have picked a better song. The guitar is just so boring. It's very easy. It's pretty much all single notes, and then there's just lots of waiting as well. It's really easy to full combo. There are a few fast sections here and there, but they're really repetitive, and I would just say skip the song. On drums, there's basically 3 main beats. The song sort of starts off with flams, and then you sort of play like a really fast hi-hat pattern with like a snare hit occasionally, and then you play the ride pattern you're seeing right now, and that's about it. The fills are all the same. I found the drums were not horrible. I found they're pretty mediocre. I also found the bass were super boring too. The bass had a lot of sustains and standing around. Definitely a song that's worth skipping. I would say this last song of the week is a song that's gotten a lot of radio play on the pop stations. It's Renegade by Ex-Ambassadors. It's pretty bland for the first 2 minutes of the song. There's lots of chords repeated, and then there's a single note sections, and then it goes right back to the chords. I found that it had a fairly outright repetitive guitar part, There is also a fairly repetitive guitar solo as well. They also have some sustain bars thrown in, which I hate in the game. I would say the guitar is just completely worth skipping. The drums I found were fairly mediocre too. I found the drums weren't horrible, but it's a lot of the same beat played over and over again. The only thing that's kind of redeeming is that the beat is a lot different from a lot of other songs you play. It doesn't consist of playing the hi-hat and snare. You're mostly playing your ride, your tom, and your snare. I would say the drums are mediocre. Bass is easily the worst instrument. You stand around a couple times in the song waiting, and then you get to play, and the single notes are just like really slow and not very well varied and pretty boring. Definitely a skippable song on bass. That does it for today's episode, guys. Tune in next week for another set of reviews. Thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe. Take care.